Every time I try to do anything, for instance in the garden or take the dogs for a walk, you get a more acute pain, so acute on chronic pain. It's pretty miserable and it affects your whole life, it affects your whole outlook.
Heather is among the first in Scotland to be prescribed cannabis for chronic pain. For over a decade, she suffered from arthritis and a herniated disc in her back.
It's basically dried cannabis flower.
She's been vaping small amounts of cannabis and taking oil that contains its main psychoactive ingredient, THC.
And these go into a very expensive vaporiser.
Her first batch of medication has cost her £100. Because she works in the health sector and is a registered nurse, she's asked to remain anonymous.
What difference does the cannabis medication that you've been on for the last few weeks, does that make?
Because it's such a low dose, it feels as though those senses of pain are getting dulled in the areas where I've got pain, rather than me being totally high. I haven't felt any side effects like that of the cannabis medication.
The medicines Heather is being prescribed aren't available in the NHS and they aren't licensed by UK authorities. But after changes in the law 2.5 years ago, doctors can still legally prescribe them.
To me, I see it as a trial at the moment. I want to know if it's going to help me and help my quality of life. If it works, yes, I would hope that it is a longer term solution.
So far, only 3 cannabis products have been licensed for use in the UK. Epidiolex for rare forms of severe epilepsy in children, Sativex for severe symptoms in MS sufferers, and Nabilone for chemotherapy-induced nausea. Since last year, only Epidiolex could be prescribed on the NHS in Scotland. But there is evidence that cannabis could do more. In Stirling, the first registered cannabis clinic in Scotland opened in March. The products offered here are unlicensed and unavailable on the NHS. But after assessment by a team of specialist doctors, and if other routes have been exhausted, patients can be prescribed the drug privately.
The patients that come to us, in general, either don't qualify for those medicines as part of the NHS, or the authorities have deemed that it's not cost effective for the NHS to fund those indications. One of those indications particularly is chronic pain. There's good clinical evidence that shows that cannabis is effective for this indication, but when the assessment was done, the cost of the medicines was far too high for the NHS to cover.
Sapphire Clinic operates from a wellbeing centre, and the drugs are sent to patients' homes from specialist pharmacies. Susie is the first person to have a face-to-face consultation at the clinic. She's 48, suffers from rheumatoid arthritis, and has been taking THC and CBD oil for a few weeks.
Nothing seemed to really touch this leg pain that I've had, so I sort of gave up and just didn't take any pain meds for a long time. One of the other reasons that I wanted to try it was insomnia, so I think the first thing that I've noticed is that that's starting to improve.
And what about the pain?
I think it has improved slightly. It's certainly not been as in the forefront of my mind as it would normally otherwise have been. I'm still a bit cautious to say that it's huge dramatic improvement, but it is such early days.
How Susie responds to the drug is still being assessed. Public Health Scotland told the BBC that good quality clinical trials are urgently required to support clinicians and ensure quality care for patients like Heather. Chris Clements, BBC News.